Okay, no. I just have a question that might blow minds. Okay, God doesn't reveal himself like that because our faith won't grow through that. God's God. Why doesn't he just do that and make our faith grow anyway?
Because that's
He
not
can.
what we were designed to be.
Why did he design us to do that?
Because that's just how it goes. We're human.
Why?
Because it's God. He makes the decision, and that's the decision he made.
Why?
Sorry. That's the decision he made. We are humans.
Is that
This is
satisfying?
how God entitles us to live our lives
Oh, here comes the
and
Savior.
become disciples of Jesus. Hi.
Talking.
No.
Okay.
Well,
Freak me out.
we don't want God to become a show, but rather a reality.
I was forced to stay.
Like a reality show.
Yeah. We don't want to. Can I say that line? Can that be a punchline?
You don't even have to say anything.
A punchline on the front line?
What are we supposed to be talking
Walk
about?
of shame. Walk of shame.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking about when I was reading my Bible earlier? Did people have eyelashes before the fall?
Oh.
What?
Because eyelashes are totally used to keep dirt out of your eyes. And dirt in your eyes is not a good thing. It's not pleasant. It's not fun. So did we have eyelashes?
They had eyelashes.
What the heck does it have to do with salvation?
It really does.
I want to
It's
know
really
if
interesting.
the dinosaurs existed.
What if the flood took them out already?
That doesn't mean they didn't exist. It just means they're
What
dead.
if they never existed?
The floor hockey for
How do you know that?
You know what, Sarah Palin? Let's go back to the question.
Women's floor hockey comes up
Please
later.
don't put this
Like
on
the
the
sign
video.
comes up
Please.
later.
Yeah.
On the video.
You will. You'll just.
Remember, I have a question. Why do you think God doesn't reveal himself to different people, like personally?
Good question.
Wait, that was a really. He does.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a really. That...
All right, I have a question.
Is this like along the lines of like why doesn't God just show up in the sky and say,
Why
hey,
is God
I'm God,
invisible?
here I am?
Yeah,
Why is God invisible? Is that the question? Okay, then why don't we just say that?
Well, we've been
That's
talking
pretty.
about
That's pretty atheist.
Okay,
Well, not.
I have a question.
Me too.
Why do you think God doesn't just show up and reveal himself and all he is to everyone on earth? The floor is open.
That's a good question.
I am going through that in my brain right now, I promise.
You better be. Think about it.
I want to give more than just the Christian
Because he already did, but we gave up that.
Are we gonna use anything of what we?
That's true. Because we have to think of it as good point. Like I'm glad that you said that because now my brain is on. That's good.
Where was it?
It's turned on.
Basically, if we're trying to figure out God from like our vantage point, why doesn't he constantly just appear in the sky and say, hey look, I'm God, here I am, this is everything about me, believe I exist and believe in me kind of thing. We kind of forget about the fact that God did reveal himself in some specific ways, so even if it's not the way we wanted him to do it or the way that would be most convenient or easy for us to do it, he did reveal it a specific way. So we can start off with the basis that if he did exist and did know what he was doing, that maybe he had a point in revealing himself the way that he so chose to. And so we believe that he actually came down to the earth and lived among us. Like, as a person, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good way to reveal yourself. Is come and live with the people you want to reveal yourself to.
Jesus himself came, and it says in the word that he revealed himself to us. And even if you look so much in the Old Testament, God revealed himself through pillars of fire. He revealed himself on the mountain to Moses. He revealed himself in a burning bush.
So what does that look like now?
Well,
Like, how does he reveal himself now?
Yeah, because he revealed himself in the past. He's obviously revealing himself somehow now. I just don't think we understand how he's revealing himself.
I think that, first off, for the whole pillar of fire, pillar of cloud, I don't see no lost nation wandering the desert going to the promised land in need of a pillar of fire. God is not a God of the easy button.
That's an example.
I know. He's like a God of, that's what people say though. If God's God, why doesn't he just toss me a pillar? What do you need a pillar of fire for? He's not like party God, Hey, Jesus, want to do that thing you do with the lightning bolt? Huh? He's not like, okay, here you go, just struck a tree for you. No. No.
Everyone has an idea of God because God has revealed himself in what he has made and his characteristics are shown in what he created. And like, you know, theologians call that natural revelation, and how God's power and his wisdom and all these things about him are displayed in the stuff he made. But the problem with that is that it's vague, and you don't make the God connection with that unless you're looking for it. Because if you're looking for it, it's readily there, and you can see it, and you can see the attributes that you know God has revealed around you. So that's one way of seeing things. But if you're not sure that he's there, or you're not looking for him, then it's just like, wow, I'm in a thunderstorm, and this is kind of, you know, scary. And that's about as deep as you'll take it.
I think the fact that people are the only things on this planet which can invent the craziest things is a sign of God's ingenuity. Because I personally believe that every plane that flies is a miracle, and every boat that floats is a miracle. But to each his own.
Magnets, how do they work?
Don't know. Souls inside him.
I would say that God reveals himself to people who aren't Christians today in by way of Christians.
God reveals himself in more slight ways and in more subtle ways, partially because that's all we as humans can handle without being destroyed by his glory.
What if God did help you, we just didn't realize it? So what if God reveals himself to us over and over and over, and we just say, God, show me more, show me more, show me more, because I don't believe?
Yeah.
Like in Greece, they say, tell me more. Tell me more.
Why did
It's kind of this, it goes along the same,
Yeah. Why wasn't it enough?
And it's hardest said on us.
exactly.
Okay, no.
That's a powerful thing, guys.
Can I say something?
No, I'm trying to,
Okay, so if we needed to be shown miracle after miracle after miracle, when would be the stopping point? Like, when would we finally truly believe?
One thing we have to think about when we give an answer like this, like, why doesn't God do this? We have to work within our conception of who God is and what God does. So when we're arguing something like, does God even exist? We can give arguments for like an unmoved mover or like a supernatural being that's awesome. But that doesn't need to fit anyone's particular theology. Whereas when someone says, well, why doesn't God, specifically your God, do things this way? Then we have to give a specific answer to like, answer according to what God is, what we know God is like. And we know that things haven't always been the way for us that they are now. Because before, when God made the world, he would come down and hang out with humans, no big deal, because that was just the norm, and there was nothing separating us from him. So clearly we've deviated from what was the original intention, and God's separation from us, like to have him reveal himself, is a special instance of something. And so the question is, why doesn't he immediately just do that for everybody and reveal himself? And I guess the first answer you could give to that is because, well, there's something getting in the way of that. And the effects of that have taken hold of everybody. Like, sin has separated everybody from God to an extent, and we all still, like, bear the effects of that. All of us are still corruptible, and we all suffer death. So that separation is clearly there.
Like, you're absolutely right, is that because of how steeped we are in our sin, if God was to ultimately come and just let out who he is before us, we would be destroyed. God's glory is too much for us, and even in his word he says that when we die and when we do go to heaven, or when we're taken up, we will have different bodies, because these bodies cannot contain the glory of God.
I remembered where I was going with that. I think it's in John, where it talks about how the light has come. God has shown forth, like he's given us enough light to see him by, but men love the darkness instead of the light. And it's because of our tendencies to be selfish and to want to seek our own good, even when it's in conflict with God's priorities. You guys get where I'm going with this, right? When it's in conflict with God's priorities, we like going after our own way, and we can't get to that full light because deep down inside, we don't want it. And we would like to see God reveal himself if God was everything that we wanted him to be. If he was like the genie in the bottle that you could rub it and he'd show up and grant your wishes and make your problems easier or go away altogether, that'd be great. And we'd love to we'd love to see him, as long as he doesn't point out the stuff that's wrong with us. But he, in and of himself, has his own characteristics that aren't dependent on what we want.
and that's difficult for us, and we don't want, probably at the end of the day, because we're sinners, we don't want God.
So the Israelites knew God as in not relationally, but they knew like about his powers and stuff like that. So even when he manifested himself on Mount Sinai, they still didn't believe. Even though they had the knowledge of God, they still didn't believe or desire to pursue this God, because the desires of our heart were still evil.
It's just the fact that sometimes we can deny God because we don't like that God.
If God appeared today, it would look like the same thing as Mount Sinai.
So then, does our condition sometimes affect God's revelation to us?
Absolutely.
God could show himself and there would be no change. People would still desire evil things. People would still desire sin, because that is our heart's desire.